NotebookLM just stopped being a library and started being a librarian. If you're still uploading files and asking for summaries, you're missing the point, because between the new deep research agent and the 10,000 character expert persona, the game has completely changed. I've identified 7 specific workflows, like building scenario-based training simulators and instant client slide decks that take you from reading to executing in seconds. If you want to see what this engine can actually do when you push it to the limit, let's get into it. Most people treat NotebookLM like a glorified search bar where they dump a file, ask a question, and then they get the text back. But that is a massive waste of time, because we don't want text, we want structured data. Let's say you have 12 messy PDF reports on AI automation tools, and extracting the pricing and feature specs manually would take you all afternoon. So here is the leverage play. Go to your NotebookLM dashboard, open your project, and look at the top right under the Studio panel where you will see the option labeled Data Table. Watch this. NotebookLM scans every single source, identifies the common variables across all 12 files, and builds a structured comparison spreadsheet automatically that isn't just a summary. It creates clean columns for tool names, key features, and pricing plans. But the default table is just the starting point, because we need the granular detail. So go back to the table, click on the edit button on the top left, and type, I need columns for monthly cost, difficulty level, and the customer support quality. Then hit generate. It completely restructures the entire data set to match the specific query by passing the text, finding the numbers, and filling the cells, and then finally, you just click the export button to transfer the entire table instantly to Google Sheets, turning a stack of messy PDFs into a decision matrix without even typing in a single cell. Now that we have the data, we just need the narrative, but asking the chat interface to write a blog post is a mistake because the context window is limited. Instead, go back to Studio Panel, find the Reports tab, I'll type, write a technical white paper focusing on the security vulnerabilities in this report using professional tone, structured with an executive summary, technical analysis, and mitigation steps. And then hit generate. Look at the difference. It didn't just summarize the text, it synthesized a narrative where the structure flows logically from the problem to the solution using specific security terminology from our papers. Because it grounded in your sources, the hallucination rate drops to near zero, meaning you went from raw files to a publication-ready draft in about 15 seconds. Now, text is great for explanation, but terrible for visualization. And if you are learning a complex topic, reading is inefficient because you need to see the architecture of the ideas. I have a folder here full of dense academic papers on supply chain resilience. So go to the Studio panel and click Mind Map, where NotebookLM analyzes the semantic relationship between every document and creates interactive visualization in about 10 seconds. Look at this. But here is the killer feature. Click on the supplier diversification and it expands deeper into strategies and risks. And if you select any of the sub-concept, the system immediately pulls up the specific source papers and direct quotes that you need to back it up. You don't need to read 40 pages, you explore the connections, and when you find a gap in your knowledge, you click on the node and the evidence appears. But visualizing the data is only half the battle, because you need to control how the AI thinks about the data. Which brings us to our most important update. Until December, the custom instruction limit was 500 characters, which is barely enough for a tweet. On December 4th, they quietly increased that limit to 10,000 characters, which is 20 times more space, meaning you can program deep, specific behavior into the model. Go to the top right, click on the 3 dots and select Settings. Scroll down to Model Instructions, where we aren't just saying, be helpful, we are building a persona. I'm going to paste in a detailed prompt saying, you are the senior product manager with 10 years of experience, so when analyzing documents, provide decision memos structured as executive summaries, user evidence, and feasibility assessment. And save that. Now ask it to analyze the uploaded product specs and look at the output. It generates a full PM-style decision memo, flagging assumptions and identifying blind spots using the exact format we requested. With 10,000 characters, you aren't just asking for answers, you're programming a specialist. You have the analysis and now you need to sell it, which normally means hours in PowerPoint or Canva. But we are going to generate the entire client deliverable suite from one source. Step 1 is the presentation. Go to Studio Panel and click on Slide Deck. Hit Edit, and now prompt it to create a 10-slide pitch deck for a marketing executive focusing on pricing strategy and market gaps. And it generates the slides, bullets, and structure. Step 2 is to edit the visual. Go back and click Edit on the infographic and prompt it to create a comparison chart of 3 competitors across the pricing and features, giving you a visual asset to support the deck. Step 3 is the briefing. Click Video Overview. But before you generate, click Customize and tell it to focus specifically on the ROI of the proposed strategy, targeting a CFO audience, and hit Generate. It scripts and produces a podcast-style briefing that you can send to the client ahead of the meeting, meaning you've just built a deck, an infographic, and a video briefing in under 5 minutes.
So today we're going to break down a master's thesis that managed to find millions of euros in hidden value for the petrochemical industry. And you know how it started? By just rethinking one seemingly simple thing: how much stuff you should keep in a storage tank. Now, this isn't just some academic thought experiment. It's a really high-stakes balancing act where getting it wrong has massive financial consequences.
Stop reading training manuals because reading is passive and we need active simulation. Go to the Studio Panel and look for flashcards. Again, do not use the default because it gives you basic vocabulary definitions which are useless for professionals. So click Edit and change the prompt to create scenario-based flashcards presenting a complex situation where an employee must choose between process A or process B to test the decision-making logic. It presents a crisis scenario that forces you to apply the documentation to solve the problem. Flip the card and it breaks down the correct decision, citing the exact page in the manual where the rule exists, meaning you just turned a static PDF into an interactive training simulator. Everything up to this point has been about analyzing documents you already have. But what if you are starting from zero and don't have the data? NotebookLM just recently added deep research, but do not confuse this with Google search, because when you search Google, you get a list of links you have to read. Whereas with deep research, it creates a plan and does the reading for you. Open a blank notebook, select deep research from the source dropdown, and type a complex goal like research the financial impact of a 4-day work week on SaaS productivity, focusing on long-term longitude studies. Watch the workflow. It generates a multi-step research plan, goes out to the live web, scans hundreds of articles, filtering out the clickbait, reads the technical reports, and synthesizes the findings into a new source document. It turns NotebookLM from a library into a librarian, because you used to have to bring the data to the AI, but now the AI goes out, validates the data, and brings it to you. So that is the system from raw data extraction to autonomous research. But having the tool is only half the equation, because you need to know how to prompt the model to actually get these results without hallucination. I broke down the exact prompting framework I use to control these outputs in this video right here. And it's the difference between getting a generic summary and getting a professional result. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you over there.